Hey friends, welcome back. I have a little snippet of time today and I wanted to get out in my front yard because it is absolutely beautiful and prune my hydrangeas. I have 3 Limelight Hydrangeas that are in front of my front window and they need some attention. So I am going to take you through how to prune a Limelight Hydrangea just because it is literally something I'm doing right now in the garden, and so I thought it might be helpful. Here we have my little hedge of Limelight Hydrangeas. You can see the first and the third hydrangeas here. They still have their blooms on them. I totally advocate for leaving blooms on all winter long. These 2 were actually located in another part of the garden and they ended up being transplanted here, and I added a third because I just really wanted this sweet little hedge moment. I thought it would look really cool against the dark of the house. So in any event, I also want to do something. I want us to flip the script. Instead of marking a calendar and saying, this is when I do this, let's actually take a page out of the hydrangeas book and I'm going to show you how my hydrangea tells me it is time to be pruned. Okay, so here we are up close and I want to show you this bud right here. So this is how I can tell when my hydrangeas are ready to be pruned, and this is only talking about hydrangea paniculatas, so and specifically this Limelight Hydrangea, but all paniculatas should be treated the same way. These bloom on new wood, so I can prune these in late February, early March without fear that I am cutting off blooms. When my hydrangea starts to push out these like beautiful chubby little buds right here, this is when I know it is a good time to prune. The other thing is that if you wait until they're just a little bit more showy and not just like a nodule, it will actually help you make sure that you're cutting out all of the old dead wood as well. So with these hydrangeas, we are going to go through a very similar pattern to when we pruned the roses. So when we prune these, we're going to bring them down by a third. We are going to prune out any dead branches, any little branches that are weak sauce, as I like to call them. And then we're also going to be looking to establish a nice shape for the growing season ahead. The other thing that I'll often do is anything that has gotten broken, which unfortunately some of these hydrangeas have break on them, anything that is headed back into the shrub or not in a direction that I want to see, I'm going to eliminate that as well. So I'm going to turn you around and I'll just kind of show you how I prune my hydrangeas. Oh, you know what? Actually, one other thing. I know that this is the thing. With pruning, everyone is going to have their own cadence, their own rhythm, their own kind of method that they feel comfortable with. But I do want to give you a couple of pieces of advice. If you take your Limelight Hydrangea, and I do know people who prune these super far down to the ground, and they get these incredible, long, gorgeous stalks with a singular flower at the end. It's a beautiful look. However, you are sacrificing stem strength, and your hydrangea in the rain, which here in Seattle, that is something that we have, which is lovely. It's why all of our plants are so green. But when we have a hydrangea that is pruned so low and doesn't have as much stem strength, it's more prone to flopping. So the second that rain comes, everything gets super heavy and it's just knocks over. So I prefer to leave mine a little on the higher side. Okay, I'm going to take you in and show you how I do this. And one last note about this little guy in the middle. The nursery actually did a pretty good job of pruning this hydrangea. However, I am noticing here, especially at the base, a ton of little spindly branches. Oh my gosh, I need to weed. And they've left this kind of like inner piece. That's a little high for my taste, so I'm going to take that down as well. And then there's a couple branches here at the bottom. I can see them like kind of crossing back into the plant, so I'm going to take that out as well. Alrighty, so one challenge that I have is I would like all 3 of these to end up about the same size. And so I'm going to leave this, I'm going to prune this one a little bit shorter. And that third one I'm going to leave a little bit taller. Essentially what I like to do is I like to come here to an intersection, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to count up just so I'm doing a consistent, even job of pruning throughout the hydrangea. So I'm going to look for my little leaf nodes here that are going to push out new growth, and I'm going to count from the base of this Y. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and then I make a cut. Let's do it again. So let's come back here to this one. This is the other side of my Y. I want this to be very even. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, make a snip. Okay, now some of these you're going to notice are coming out much longer. I want it to be at about this same level, so I'm not going to be as precise with that one. I'm going to come up here and say, well, I could leave it a little bit higher. I could go with like that. And sometimes what I'll actually do is if I'm feeling timid with pruning something, I will start by leaving everything a little bit taller. You can always come back and take off another section, but I don't know how you can actually glue it back on. So I'd rather start maybe a little bit conservative, especially if this is your first time pruning. Feel free to get your feet, kind of like get your sea legs. Don't feel like you have to just go super duper hard all at once. Okay, I'm gonna dive into this and see where we land. Okay, now getting in a little bit closer, I want to show you something that I am going to eliminate that I've seen now that I've kind of taken this canopy down. So I'm going to pull you in closer and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so do you see how this is kind of coming off the top side of this branch? And then as it comes in, it literally cuts directly back through the shrub to this back side. I don't want that. I don't want a branch that's just crossing right back in. It's going to cause rubbing. It's just kind of messing up my structure. So I'm going to come in and I'm actually going to cut this one. Do you see this little leaf node here? I'm going to cut it below that leaf node. Oh, that went a little bit deep, but we're going to be fine because I don't want this to grow. So if I had left that, it would simply grow. If I cut above that, this part would grow. I don't want that. I just want it completely gone. So out she goes. You know, the other thing I'm going to show you back here is this branch. Do you see how it's kind of crossing in, around, and over? I'm actually, again, I'm going to get rid of this entire thing. I just don't feel like I need it. Alrighty, and I think I'm going to do the same to this one too, because it is doing the same thing. All right. Okay, so there we have hydrangea number one. Again, I'm leaving this a little bit taller. I've kind of traced up 1, 2, 3. Actually, let's check this out. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Made a mistake. I actually love that I'm making mistakes because no one is perfect. And it's all about just trial and error. And honestly, this is such a hardy plant that once it's established, if I feel like my shape has just all gone awry and I need to start fresh, I can actually go really, really hard and then work on reestablishing that. Okay, so one other thing that I wanted to show you is that if I actually ended up off camera taking out this branch, and here's the scoop. When you are doing a pruning job like this and you feel like you're on the edge whether you should take out something or not, sometimes what I'll do with these flexible branches, like let's just take this one for example, I'll actually pull that down and I'll kind of take a look at it and be like, gosh, do I really actually need this branch for shape? Or what's it gonna look like if I take this out? This little guy, just for right now, I'm gonna leave him in, but this is another branch that I was like, do I actually need this? Anyways, I see a couple last little dead guys here. So there you have it. Just quick, easy, simple tutorial on how to prune a Limelight Hydrangea. Again, this is the technique you're going to use with your Panicle hydrangeas or anything that says Paniculata in it. If you have an oak leaf hydrangea or like a big leaf, back away. Do not use this technique. But in any event, I hope you have gained a little knowledge today. Let me know if you have any questions. Certainly pop them down in the comments below, and I'll try to get to as many as possible. Until the next time, say hello to your garden for me.